Hey guys, welcome back to the Pokémon Podcast episode, I assume 21? I don't know anymore. We have a lovely guest today. It is Gameboy Luke from...
Hi.
Where are you from?
Well, Gameboy Luke.
What's your address?
Gameboy Luke, specifically. No, from YouTube, I guess, right? From the West Country in the UK. Yeah.
It's crazy that pretty much every guest we get is from the UK. Don't know why that is.
Wait, really?
Well, because you met him when you came to the UK. That's
I mean, I already wanted him on the podcast before I met him. But then, yeah, we actually did hang out in the UK, which was pretty awesome. Because
I'm so glad that I got to meet you.
It was amazing.
It was so fortunate that you guys had decided to stay a few days after Worlds when we weren't even in the country. So when I got back and saw that you were still here, I was like, oh, I got to hit up Toby and see if you guys are around. So I was really, really pleased to be able to come.
And it was perfect because we literally finished all the touring literally the day before, and then we had like 2 days to just chill with Luke and the rest. And you technically were the YouTuber that I hung out with the most, I think, when I was there, other than Toby. But
eat that, Toby. Sorry,
I really felt valid in my job for a moment there. Thanks, man.
The most successful YouTuber that I hung out with.
You were the tour guide.
Hang on, we don't need to bring success and numbers into it. How dare?
I mean, we hung out with a lot of people in Worlds, but that was, like a couple of hours maximum. Again, I want to reiterate, 2 days with Luke. Just stayed at Toby's house for 2 days, like randomly. What was the reason for that? Like, how do you have the time? How do you have the
big sleepover, wasn't it? First of all, thank you for having me, of course. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I think generally, I think you guys will obviously understand this as well. But doing YouTube's a very lonely job. And I've been all over I say all over the country. I lived in Wales for 4 years, and I came back to Wiltshire back in late 2020. And being back in Wiltshire is nice because I'm close to family and I'm close to like school, like high school friends and stuff like that. But on a day-to-day, I don't really get to see many people. Like my friend Grant, like he's my childhood friend. Like I maybe get to see him like once every few months or whatever because he's got like kids and a family and stuff. So it's a little bit difficult for him to make time for me. So when literally only recently I realized Toby lived like, with an hour shot drive from me.
Yeah.
I was like, this opened loads of doors. I was like, oh my God, I have friends I can hang out with. Because I have friends in the country, but they're all up north. And that's like a 4.5 hour drive. That's a long commitment to get there,
I think we always knew that we lived relatively close to each other. But like, I think at that time, I mean, I still don't drive, but like I didn't drive. When I just started YouTube, I didn't drive. And so and it's not a route that's super easy by train. So I recall when we recorded the Rotom is a legendary video, you telling me that how close you were. Like I remember being like, oh, that's cool, but I don't think I was as confident in my driving as I was back, like as I am now. So I probably didn't think too much about it. But yeah, to answer Ron's question, like I guess like I only upload twice a week now. I hadn't really been streaming a whole lot just because I've just come back off holiday anyway. So I was able in my own mind to just swing 2 days to come hang out with friends because to me, even though this job is in social media, I don't really get enough social time with people as I'd like to. And I think that spending time with people usually leads to a more motivational path afterwards because you get to talk with, and it's again, like talking to YouTubers or talking to other friends that are YouTubers and in the same community as you, I think is really good for the brain. I don't ever like when my friends all talk to family, they don't get what I'm talking about. So to be able to like bounce ideas or talk with you guys and then come back and feel refreshed and like I'm ready to go and tackle whatever I need to go and do now. Otherwise, I'm just stuck in between these four walls doing the same thing over and over again without any social interaction. Humans are social creatures, so we need that. Yeah.
And when you told me this when we were hanging out, I actually got like kind of emotional. I was about to tear up because I think I really empathized with that feeling, especially like same here. Like all my friends from high school and elementary school, they kind of moved out. So it's like, and for some reason there aren't many YouTubers within an hour and a half. Or, like I guess the closest would be like an hour and a half. And I'm not confident in my driving, so especially like
you were where I was at like 6 years ago. Like now,
and after going to the UK.
I had the same thing. A lot of my friends are gone too. So
well, yeah. So then after going to the UK, I think I gained the confidence, or like not the confidence, but like the desire and will to actually like reach out and like do my best to get to these people because they are important.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I wish I had, when Toby mentioned about it all that time ago, I wish I'd established like our friendship a little bit earlier and like bit the bullet and just driven to see you guys, because it was such an eye-opener for me, because I really crave sort of like hanging out with people and being social, and I feel like the most I've gotten out of that is flying to Georgia to see Dylan and you know everyone else that's there as well. So to be able to have unlocked that like route to you guys, to be like, if I feel bad or whatever, I know you guys will welcome me with open arms. You were very, very welcoming when I came over, and were like, bro, whenever you need anything or you want to come and hang out or whatever, like, please. We're here, So,
it's been really... So I get that sentiment of like, oh man, if only we'd done sooner. But we get to now, and like, it's been really nice to reconnect over the last couple months, actually.
You have no idea how many times Josh has come over my house.
No, I know. Wow. Every time I text Josh at the moment, he's like, oh, I'm over at Luke's, I'm over. Josh, for those of you who might remember from last week or the week before, was our friend who was driving us around the UK, basically everywhere, PSA Pimp. And he's lovely. And yeah, like, it's been so nice to get to reconnect and hang out and speak to you. And absolutely, like, me and Dan bought this house at the beginning of the year, and we have our other podcast, which is on hiatus at the moment. Shout out to the Content House podcast, which is hopefully coming back in the near future.
You're not allowed to do that. Stop it.
Whoa! Hey, no, that's the rules, and I'll shout this out there. But what I did want when we come back, but that idea of having a content house, a place where not just for work, but also like, it's a big house. It's got a big living room. It's meant to be shared. I like having people over. Typically, one of the things I struggle with the most that I've actually spoken to Ron a lot about is the ability to like, if someone says, hey, can I come hang out? I'm always going to be like, heck yeah. So I'm trying to get better at saying no to people. But you are always welcome to ask. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be like, come over. You need to escape your life for a little bit. There's 3 very, very, very comfortable sofas in the living room.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't like abuse the power per se.
No, you're good.
I would. Listen. If I got to see you guys like once a month, even, right, that's still like 5 times the amount of interaction I was getting, before anyways.
Why?
So I'm happy with that.
Why do you think? I mean, is it just because all your friends are kind of far away?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not. I could make the effort to. But again, I lived in North Wales for a really long time, and I did the 4.5-hour drive to Wiltshire every maybe 3 months or so, and it's not fun. I don't like doing it. It was really, really mind-numbing and boring, and I hated it. So that the fact that you're only like an hour away, it's like a no-brainer to me. That's like I stay the night. I get to have like a full sort of like 24 hours to hang out with people, and then you guys like when Ron was here, I was like, I'll just stay another night, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I may as well. So
and when OBS is working, there is always the opportunity to do work from here as well. Like we have in the house the various bits of equipment one would need to make content. So if ever we have people
to get myself in your office and tidy that up.
No, I tell you what. After you left, and I know you were excited to help me out with tidying my office and like reorganizing stuff, and we can still do that. But I sent you some pictures. I didn't think I sent you pictures. I unplugged everything, brought it all out from under the desk, replugged everything back in, gave it a lot more breathing room, a lot more
Ron
air.
and I both had a private conversation at one side, like, what the hell is this guy doing, man?
Yeah. We tried to stream from his office 2 times. One time with Luke on his channel, and it just did not work.
It can be stressful, especially when you have technical difficulties when you go into streaming stuff. You just kind of have to suck it up, right? But that's another reason why I wanted to come over, because I didn't necessarily want to completely clean your office. I wanted to help improve your experience with your computer as well, like making sure that when you open OBS and I show you everything and it just works when you have to click one button and go. So that's more or less because listen, I studied computing and I was going to be an IT specialist, like a support specialist. That was the career I was going into. So to be able to apply that in this job form makes me happy because I still get to do that.
Yeah,
whenever you have technical problems, I'm your guy. Like, please hit me up.
I'd be very grateful, honestly, for any level of improvement. I think improvement in life, because Ron, obviously, you were a fresh pair of eyes coming to my room and to my house, right?
Yeah.
And improvement in different areas is an odd thing because when you, we moved in at the beginning of the year, you get into systems and routines and patterns, and the question of, well, why don't you just do this is never usually, because I like it worse, it's normally a level of comfort and a level of, oh, I've just been doing it that way for so long. And so it having fresh pairs of eyes coming into the space and saying, hey, I want to give you some advice is very much appreciated, as long as it doesn't come off hypercritical, everything sucks that you do, Toby.
Sorry.
I mean, I was a bit hypercritical, but I guess
I am very hypercritical.
I just got not annoyed, but like I think I just didn't accept the neutral answers. Like that's just what I do. I got used to it.
I do. It's just like, yeah, like, that was. Sorry, could you?
I totally get it.
Could you feel how targeted my response was there to you, Ron?
I think me and Ron are just like very similar in that regard. I mean, I hate to say it, but for me specifically, I can be a little bit like control freaky. I can definitely be like that. So, but what I guess if somebody says to me, I have this problem, it's really annoying me, and I hate it. And the usual for me is to be like, well, then start doing something about it. You know what I mean? Like without being like rude or like condescending. It's like if you have this problem and it keeps happening to you, resolve it. Like find the source, fix it, and then like you'll improve. Listen, I recently this past year. Not to go on a tangent or anything, but like I have sort of like adapted the mindset of doing yourself favors for the future. And it could be something as small as doing like the washing up or making sure that this tidying is done or whatever, because future you will be so grateful for it. So like, for example, in the case of like an OBS recording or like a stream, if this problem is happening and you're like, I'll deal with that later. And then you go to stream again and the problem happens. It's like, why am I so unlucky? I hate this. This is annoying. You know, you haven't actually made any effort to sort of like resolve the issue and it just keeps happening and killing your mental. Right. Yeah. And like you said to me, you have a really terrible experience with streaming because like you have all these technical problems and you hate streaming because you're always worried something bad's going to happen. Now, if that problem was squashed, you could flip that into being, I love streaming, you know?
The problem I have with, I mean, and specifically with OBS and Elgato products, is that I do find that I will take that time to fix it all and get it working perfectly. And then a change of needs or circumstance will throw it off of what its original intended use was. And then suddenly everything just stops working. So like a simple
the thing is, right, you need to understand how to
do it constantly.
You need to understand how the hardware, I guess, and the software company with it works, and what you need to know how to fix it, like quick fixes, for example. Like you've always heard the joke about computers and stuff. Like, have you tried turning it on and off again?
Yeah.
There are other things you can do with like, you know, specific problems that happen. Like, and I can, you know, I like to run through people with stuff like that. Like if I say, if this problem happens, usually this is the answer to how to fix it. If you just have that like little tidbits of information, then almost any problem that you encounter is immediately solvable because you already have like a, you know, pre-designed sort of thing. I'm like, you know, oh, this is how I fix this problem or whatever.
And also, once you learn how to fix one problem, usually some of the knowledge goes into fixing other things too.
Stuff,
yeah, absolutely. So. And that's why, because for me, Toby, you were like a puzzle to be solved, because you were like, streaming. I think I'd love streaming, but streaming is so problematic for me because all my hardware and stuff, like whatever, my stream doesn't work. I was like, man, there's something in them that needs to be unlocked, because I feel like you would love streaming if you just got past the barrier of, you know, the hardware being
stressful.
You know? Yeah, exactly. Of tech issues. Yeah. I think like you'd really like thrive in that environment. So
yeah, you like to perform. for an audience.
I get tired. I mean, I don't want to totally hijack the conversation. I did
No, let's move on. We've talked about this enough. We can definitely.
I don't know. I mean, Ron, did you have anything else to say on that? Because I feel like you had things to say.
I had things to say 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Sorry,
we've already gone through 3 topics, so it's all fine. We're flowing. That's what the Combine Podcast is all about.
I spent a full day, 12 hours, or I intended to. I only got to 9 hours and then had to do a follow-up stream the next day, playing through Sword and Shield, because I've been doing this challenge run-through, and this segues really nicely into other stuff as well. I've been doing this challenge run-through, right, where we visited all these locations in the UK, caught Pokemon and Pokemon Go, and I was like, oh, cool, I want this to go out before Scarlet and Violet, I better do it in a hurry. You know what, let's just cram it, we'll do this live stream, and thankfully everything worked for the live stream. Hey. At the end of the run-through, I visit Wyndon in Sword and Shield, as everyone would, and in Wyndon it's inspired by London, and so I caught a Pokemon at the London World Championships, and it was a Nidorina, a female, and I was like, oh, how perfect! It'll be Nidoqueen in London, and I nicknamed it Lizzie. Yeah. And as we're recording this podcast, like literally like an hour before, she's just passed away. So
Yeah,
I
man,
need
that's
to
crazy, isn't it?
I need to definitely re-record some lines.
Oh,
We did not that I
Oh,
made.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right.
Not that I was making any like horrible jokes about the Queen or anything, but there's just
No, but the timing, you might have to
horrible timing.
You've got to be a
Horrible
little
timing.
bit. I get that.
before the podcast started, we were thinking about whether or not we should talk about the Queen and her passing. And I was totally confident. I'm like, oh, we can talk about whatever we want. But now that we're actually talking about her, I just realized I don't know any rules. I don't know the rules about talking about the Queen. And now I just don't want to talk about the royalty.
Do you know, I saw a really funny comment on our comment section, which was super accurate, which was, maybe we can use this to segue into a more broad discussion.
Yeah.
It was a comment, something to the effect of, I love listening to the Calm Mind podcast when
I have it actually. I have this comment
you've got the
right
comment?
here.
Do you want to read the comment?
So Dusty Gogo was like, I love listening to Ron dance right up to the line of cancelable subjects and Toby not knowing what to do other than change the topic.
Yeah, literally. And it's so
That's the
accurate.
perfect duo, though. It's the perfect duo,
That's what I
right?
love. Yeah.
It's so accurate because I'm so fearful of the wrath of the internet, which is not a healthy
Who
thing.
isn't? Yeah, we could talk about that.
Well,
We could
I'm
talk
way
about
more
that.
fearful. That's the thing. But I think what one of the conclusions that we came up with, one of the reasons I think is that Toby has white privilege or whatever. So he feels like he can't comment on any like thing that has to do with like minorities or like different cultures and stuff like that.
It's
I'm more used to it.
intimidating, man. It just
So,
is.
yeah.
Like being creators, like, and seeing the wrath of cancel culture, like it makes you scared to say anything anywhen. Because you don't know if you just happen to have a cold take or end up like offending like a minority or like a group of people or whatever, and I know it's just better to keep your mouth shut in some cases. Do you know what I mean? So scary.
When we're recording this podcast, like there are moments. I mean, not really moments where I'm just like, it's not that I don't have something to say, but it's sort of like, how can I say it as quickly as possible, and then we can move out of this discussion of it's on the edge, and I don't feel on the edge, and and the thing is, like, I don't think someone could go back and listen to our 21 episodes. I hope you do, but I don't think they would hear anything particularly like egregious or awful or maliciously intended or anything like that. I think it's all very nice, normal human to human discussion.
Of course.
And if we have said anything horrible, I guarantee it's out of ignorance and not out of any level of like
well, that's the thing, right? Is the internet doesn't forgive, even if it wasn't intended, because intention is really important, I think, in context matters, right?
Of course,
but like, if you're intending to hurt somebody, that's a completely different story than just saying something and then accidentally offending somebody and just being like, hey, correct it or whatever, right? But like, when it comes to a lot of things, the internet is not forgiving in any sense, it feels like,
Have you? Go on, Ron. What are you thinking?
Well, I just think it's even on a personal level, like sometimes I get nervous even talking to other YouTubers because like a lot of time you're talking to other YouTubers, maybe DMs or just like talking about like YouTube stuff, basically talking like to a colleague. But then let's say when I have like someone on a guest on a podcast or I'm talking to another YouTuber just on a friend, just about anything like a normal friend, I don't know what to talk about because I don't know their personal lives. I don't know if I'm offending them by saying like bringing up something or like something in their past on YouTube or something like that. Like I don't know what the line is with when it comes to
in the context of a podcast. I think like it's almost like anything's on the table unless they've specified, right? That like they don't want to talk about that, right? I feel like that's fair.
I see Calm Mind as a different forum to Birdkeepertoby. I've said this before, like Birdkeepertoby is the caricature of myself that is running the YouTube channel. But here on Calm Mind, I'm Toby Hill, the guy who runs Birdkeepertoby. And so there's like a level of distance. I feel like I could talk about more. I still wouldn't talk necessarily about like the most intimate details of my life, nor the most controversial views that not even that I hold, but that I might want to entertain in a discussion for the sake of argument, But like, but
the difference is that for YouTubers, I'd say the low point of our lives is public. Not our lives, but our career is usually public. So it's like, whenever you're talking to another YouTuber and let's say you have a question about that, like low point or something like that, or like, I don't know, maybe they released a video a series that didn't do well and you want to bring it up because, I don't know, for whatever reason you want to bring it up. Would you bring it up on a podcast?
Yeah.
would you even bring it up in just general? Like again.
I think it's something that you'd have to just talk. You have to talk about beforehand, wouldn't you? If it was something that you thought maybe was like going to be a little bit sensitive, then like I think you owe it to the person you're interviewing to like be like, is it okay to talk about this when we record? So they don't. I feel like that's my take. That's my take at least.
What sucks about podcasts is that usually you don't want to bring up the topics beforehand because then you don't want to start talking about it, or like it's just more natural when you just bring it up in the podcast.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. But I think if it was like something more sensitive, then like you could be like, is it okay to, and then like list out whatever you think, so you know that like if it does get brought up, that it's okay to bring up, you know.
Maybe it would be good. Maybe something we should do for guests in the future is create a generalized "will talk about, won't talk about" list that has like some like go to like religion, sex, drugs, like you know, and like those things like personal
or any
life,
personal
dramas.
things they've gone through.
Yeah. And then people can just eliminate what they don't absolutely is off the table. This isn't to say that we want to talk about all these things, just so we know what's like a taboo. That might be a really useful thing for us.
We're gonna do it. We're 100% gonna do it.
I think that's
after this, I'm gonna make the list. It's gonna be fun.
Heck yeah, that's like a really good thing to implement. Because we learned something. The other nice thing, of course, about our podcast is that it's editable. But like, I don't think you still don't want to ask a guest something like, "So tell us about that mad scandal you were in," and then suddenly it's like tilted them. So the rest of the podcast, the energy
even if it gets edited out, right? It still happened during the podcast, so they feel a little bit like uneasy going forward, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Because like naturally, I want to talk to a friend of mine, but then this guest may feel like they're put on the spot, and maybe like this is like a gotcha moment, like that you only brought me here to ask me these like questions that I don't want to answer, and now I feel embarrassed.
Don't worry, I wouldn't feel like that, Ron. I know you're not like that.
Thank you. But what's funny is that we didn't even introduce you as like a YouTuber. We didn't even like bring up your career or anything. Like if you guys don't know who Gameboy Luke is, prolific PokeTuber, Let's Plays, streams. Like honestly, it's funny because when I was hanging out with Luke, my brother just texted me. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I took a picture of like Luke, like just in Toby's living room. And I'm like, I'm just hanging out with Gameboy Luke. And my brother was a huge fan of you. He watched you all the time.
Bless him. That's so sweet, isn't it?
So it was so surreal just to see that picture.
One thing I actually wanted to go back on is Toby said like he is Birdkeepertoby, right? So that you are right now you're Toby Hill, owner of Birdkeepertoby, right? And I feel like for the most part with my channel Gameboy Luke, I am almost unapologetically myself on my channel. So like when I step away from my channel, I hang out with people, I might be a little bit like reserved because like when you record, everyone knows that you give yourself energy times two, right? You're putting double effort in really. Yeah. And all it is really is maybe just a more energetic me on my videos. But I feel like there really isn't that much of a stark contrast between me as a person and me and my content either.
When we were hanging out, I feel like you were probably the closest to your quote unquote persona.
Oh, that makes me really happy because like I don't have a good dial on myself. So like the fact that you take that makes me happy.
I think you are, and I always say this about Ace Train or Liam as well. Like I think you are incredibly brave to be able to do that, and that's why people love you is because you are so unapologetically yourself. I know that realistically, like my audience, they like me enough. They
love you. What are you talking about?
Like a lot of them
don't give me that crap.
No, but a lot of them are there for the Pokemon, which is what I'm
that's the same with all of us, Toby. Don't take that. We all go through that.
I think so, but with you guys, I think there is a greater degree. I see the way that your audience specifically cares about you, the way that Liam's cares about him. I think there is a relationship there that kind of, I guess that, what's it called? Parasocial relationship. But people are very invested in you guys in a really in a slightly different way just because you have less barriers, whereas I have more barriers.
I mean, I guess, but like even I know that if I were to stream different content or record different kinds of videos, like, you know, there would be people that stick around, but that's the same with everybody, right? Yeah. But it definitely does drop down a whole bunch when you change the medium of like, you know, type of video you're making for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a special case at all in that regard.
You're definitely not a special case. I think people. I agree that you would get less viewers if you stopped playing Pokemon, but because most of your content is unscripted, you're showing more of yourself. There's the validation. Again, it's subjective, so you probably don't even feel this, but like I feel the validation would be stronger because like, oh, they actually love me for me, while for me, like when I put myself on YouTube, it's just one facet of myself. So even if a video does well, I don't get the validation of, wow, they really love me. I get the validation of, oh wow, they really liked what I did and what I made.
I never thought about it like that. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So because of that, when the channel doesn't do well, or let's say just one video doesn't do well, I feel like they don't, not only do they not love me, they also don't love what I make. So it's like it's a little bit worse, but again, it's really subjective. Everybody can have the same feelings even when we make completely different content.
I wouldn't deny that if you went live and you started playing like Call of Duty, you get less viewers. Of course you would. But what I think, like, if you went live and started playing Call of Duty and I went live and started playing Call of Duty, regardless, like, even if our channel subscription size was identical, I guarantee you would have more people than me. Because that's all I'm saying, because I think there are a large.
Well, he's an established streamer, to be fair.
Well, this is true. This is true. But even if we
no, but he's saying, like, say for example, if there were two realities, right, where like, say Toby was running my channel with the exact same numbers and whatever, then like, and he went live and I went live, I'd have more viewers. I actually think, I actually disagree.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think you give yourself enough credit, frankly.
Yeah,
I'm sick and tired of it because I think you're a great person. I think you have a great channel, and I think your content's awesome.
Oh,
but you don't. You need to give yourself a kick up the arse, right?
Toby, shut up and listen to this.
And just have more faith and confidence in yourself, because I think that you need, like, what is it? It's like. You don't sell yourself, though. You don't need to sell yourself. I already know how great of a person you are, but you undersell yourself to your friends when we know who you are, Toby. You don't have to like tell us you're 50% of the person you are. Like, I'm gonna call out that, I don't know if I can swear, I'm gonna call that BS immediately. So shut up.
I don't, thank you. I don't feel like I'm doing it to like put myself down and
no, I'm a bit the hypocrite because I did the same thing. So
do you know what? This did come up. Like this came up in therapy. This is something I'm talking about. Is she literally said to me, we were discussing the way that I like. Why are you laughing?
This has happened to me like 2 or 3 times already. Like I've been having a normal conversation with a friend, and they'd be like, "Yeah, so like in therapy, I spoke about this," and I was like, "Go on,"
because that's what you do. You clearly have a way of getting to the root of it with people. I big other people up. Specifically in areas that I think they do better than me, as a way of like, because if I big other people up in the same way that they're skilled at me, then they'll just go, in my mind they're just gonna be like, well, yeah, but we're both good at that, so like it doesn't, I don't know, as if it means less. So I'll big other people up in a way that puts me down, and it's a thing that I'm realizing I do. It's not good. It's not good. Yeah,
no, stop it.
I do the same thing too, but from like social anxiety, where like someone will compliment me at like a party or something and be like, wow, it's so cool that you're a YouTuber or whatever, and then I'll just start be like, no, my job sucks, even like I hate my job, even what you're doing is probably more fun, whatever, even though it's not true.
Yeah, but you know what that is? It's nice to get validation, even if you're not doing it intentionally. It's if you say that to somebody, that they're gonna be like, oh no, I think it's really cool, and then that you're like, oh thanks, like it's. I'm there too. I've done it myself. Like with family and stuff like that. I mean, especially with family, like trying to explain it to them and stuff, like, yeah, no, I'm a hypocrite. I'm a big hypocrite. Like I do the exact same thing, but I will call my friends out on it as well.
Thanks, guys. So. No, you know what? I needed that, and you're right. My channel is just so much better than both of yours. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, and I love my friends for this. I got into this mindset with my friends, where we say like rising tides raises all ships. Like if one of us does well, we all do well. We all if someone's doing better than me, it's like, good job. Like I'm really proud of you. I'm really happy. Like being supportive around it. So honestly, I want nothing more, Toby. I want nothing more in this world than for your channel to hit 1 million subs and for you to make it big bucks and be absolutely like, off you, absolutely happy with everything you're doing in life.
Dang.
That would be amazing.
Same for you guys. Let's all go get loaded. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's all go get loaded and be huge successes and have loads of fun.
High or like loaded
money? Loaded money. We'll go load up our bank accounts and we'll
load
make
up the guns. Go to
Vegas.
We'll make the best content. Heck, we could start a podcast. Let's do it.
Yo, you know what? Let's do Swords Dance podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, stop it. So it seems like. But this whole that mantra that you just brought up, I think it actually that's how I would describe your career in general, and especially like the current era of Gameboy Luke, where it's like I guess, fusions and more challenges and stuff like that. Well, I mean, you've been doing challenges for a long time, but definitely challenges are the meta right now when it comes to Let's Players, Pokemon Let's Players, and just Let's Players in general.
I haven't done anything like that in a while. But
for example, like, I was asking who started the fusion stuff, and it seems like it was you and Shady, right?
It was me and Shady, and I'm not going to take credit for it, but like Shady had the idea. The original plan was Shady was saying, "Oh, we should take 2 Pokemon fusion together." And I was like, "Oh yeah, Pokemon fusions are sick. That's a great idea." But he wasn't going to do any of the texture edits or like the type. Or it was just going to be game data that we changed. So like, say, I don't know, let's just say we fuse Pikachu and Ditto, right? You would just take Pikachu and then make it electric normal type, and then that would be it. I was like, well, texture editing in Sword and Shield is not that difficult. Why don't we try doing that? And, it was kind of like a mishmash of 2 ideas, kind of, then we end up having some really fun stuff with that.
And you helped raise, like, other channels, too, with that idea, I think. So I think that mantra was valid. But here's the thing. Here's what's funny, though. I came up with the same idea, like, I'd say, like, many months before Shady made the first episode. But my idea was a little different. It was basically, I get another artist and we actually draw the Pokemon, and then we just do like a showdown battle, basically. And then I was trying to find an artist to do it. I got one. 3 months, he wasn't talking to me for some reason. He was offline for 3 months. So I had to find another artist. I got Lucy, Candy Eevee in the end, and then we made our video, but it was too late because like literally a week before we started recording, Shady Penguin released this thing.
Oh, no, that's unreal. I thought, wow. Did you still do it?
Yeah, I did it in the end, and it did not do well really, but like it did okay. And then I wanted it to become a whole series because it really is a little different than what you guys did. You get to see actual like new art.
Yeah, that's what I said to you. That's why I said I wanted to do something similar with that. I think I like offered you actually when I was there, like that, because you're an artist. You do way better than we would do. But I understand editing Pokemon game data is a little bit,
it's weird, definitely a completely different skill. Like it's funny because different kinds of art have different skills. Like for example, me designing Pokemon doesn't translate to me actually going to the code and editing textures and stuff like that. Sure. I mean, I don't even have a hacked Switch.
Well, we don't use a hack switch to do it, to be fair, but
okay.
Emulation.
True. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that different art skills. At some point, I want to talk about your graphic design, Luke. I've always thought that your like the graphical style of Gameboy Luke, whether that's been your banners, icons, branding across merch, branding across like in videos. I remember you had this old Chateau outro perhaps at one point, which I reused for a video. And like and actually even in thumbnails, like when you've got like the exclamation mark from Sword and Shield that everyone's using now. Thank you for passing that around. Like no your graphical. The way that it looks has always looked unreal clean to a point where it feels above what a lot of other people are doing.
I really appreciate that. I think more so than anything, that's just like the perfectionist in me. And it's like you hear that the saying like jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. It's like that. Like
that's you. They were talking about you the whole time.
I have like a desire to learn, I guess. So if I see somebody doing something and I'm like, can you teach me? Can you show me how to do this? Because I don't want to. It's what's the saying? It's like you can teach, you can feed a man with a fish, but if you teach him how to fish, you can feed like himself.
Yeah.
I don't remember the saying. It's something like that, right? So like I would always go out of my way to learn how to do things. Ever since I was a kid, I remember my animation career, or like the start of like sharing content on the internet even, was just me watching people do like flash animations and being like, I want to know how to do that. And like, found the software, Googling how do you make this and figuring it out for myself and making my own thing that I want to make, So, and obviously that comes with skills, because once you start doing that stuff, you learn how to, animate, you learn how to use Photoshop.
I'll Uno reverse, in this podcast of just throwing around compliments at each other, I'm going to Uno reverse the BS meter here, though, because then if you're saying you're a jack of all trades but a master of none, but you do have one skill that you are a master at, which is learning new skills. That is not something that everybody has. That is not something that everybody does actively partake in. And actually, when you learn those skills, you seem to learn them to a degree that is at least above kind of standard. So that in itself is an impressive skill. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, well, thank you. Take that. I appreciate it. I don't know. I don't know how to talk about it without sounding like pedantic or like not pedantic. That's the wrong word. Like coming off like a know-it-all or
sure.
Oh, what's the word? Overconfident or gassing myself up too much. But sometimes I feel like I just see things a little bit differently to others. I'm a big perfectionist. But then also can I don't mind sacrificing on perfection because you can't always reach it. Like you need to be less hard on yourself and stuff like that. But I do have an eye. Well, me and Callum, Hood and Callum, we talk about it all the time.
I'd say he's the second best in terms of branding, by the way.
Me and him have a little joke where we say, like we look at someone's like art, like or art that people have done, like in our own friend group, and we'll be like, you should change this or do that or do this. And me and Callum will sort of like whisper to each other, like, we've got the eye. We know.
You know.
We're able to just see imperfections or what we consider imperfections and. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to explain. I don't want to come off as anything.
No, it's
subjective
a real thing.
Right?
Our friend PD Winnell has the exact same thing. Like I've always said, I go to him for thumbnail advice all the time. Because I'll just like I know that if I throw out a thumbnail his way, he's gonna look at it and he's gonna tell me 20 things that I didn't even think about. And he's just like, that's what would make it. That's what would take it from being an okay standard thumbnail that's going to get, decent views to the next level. And some people just do. They have it. They've developed it from many years of not just creating content and creating thumbnails, but many years of adapting the creation of thumbnails with current trends. And
nobody wants a master. People gravitate more towards people who are just well-rounded and have multiple interests and skills.
Yeah.
And I'd say it actually makes you a better, for example, reactor, because you're one of the few Pokemon YouTubers, whenever you're reacting to something, whether it be a trailer or an animation, you notice more than one thing. Like, let's say another YouTuber who's just focused on like battles, for example, will only care about like, oh, is this Pokemon good whenever they reveal a new Pokemon, or like, is this Pokemon good in battle? Or another a person like me, I only care about the music sometimes. While you'll notice the music, you'll notice the Pokemon design, you'll notice sometimes the animation, the graphics, the actual battle prowess sometimes too. Like, and that's again why I think you're one of the best reactors too.
I don't know. I'm not very good at taking compliments. All I can say is that I really appreciate that.
Let's find a bad thing about Luke.
Well, there's a lot of those. My worst fear is that I come off like cocky or like it's like, oh my god, this guy loves talking about himself. You know what I mean? I don't often get complimented for it or get the chance to talk about it. So it's nice to be able to have an outlet.
It's funny you do it in the same way that you then criticize me for not taking.
Yeah, well, I told you I was a hypocrite. I told you.
Yeah. But we all do it, and I know what it is. It's that fear of being perceived to be in any way cocky or like I know what's going on, or I'm better than anyone.
You, like so many things, man. Like I could say, like I don't know, like for example, we have a way that we record all our Sword and Shield videos, right? Like we have a certain way we do it. Everybody that ever like wants to make these videos within our friend circle, I've had to set up everything that they do to do it because I just know how to set it up, right? Or like I'll get people like, for example, when I sent you the question mark or the exclamation mark, so people were taking really crappy screenshots of the games. I was like, well, let me just remake them. It's not like they're like complicated pieces of art to recreate, you know.
By the way, when you do the thumbnails, are you just taking screenshots of like the Pokedex, or like, okay, you're not just going into like the game and like emulating like and trying to find.
So what we do, right, is this is all. I'm toot my own horn for a little bit because this was really smart. I thought, right. Good. So what I did is in the Pokedex, in Sword and Shield specifically, when you open up the game, it's just an orange background, right?
Yeah.
And they have like this outlines thing on it. On each Pokemon, they have like their own in-program thing that puts a stroke around the Pokemon. Yeah. We turned the stroke off because it gets really annoying with anti-aliasing. And then I went into the game and modded it, and I changed the background of the Pokedex to be a flat green color, like a green screen. So then you just take a screenshot and you dump it into Photoshop, and then you color remove the background, and you've got your own HD Pokemon. Like boom.
But in Sword and Shield, you can't rotate the camera, right, in the Pokedex, but that's not a problem? Wait, you can't? What?
Yeah, in the Pokedex, if you select view, and then you can make them attack, and you can rotate them. I recently figured out how to
I just think the rotation isn't as good. That's what I remember.
It probably isn't as good.
It's not as good.
We also recently figured out how to import animations, too. So, for example, like, in the Pokedex, you push the button twice, and you get, like, two generic attack animations.
Yeah.
But we can import animations from like Pokemon Camp where they start falling asleep or they start acting or like moving or running or walking. So like we can go in the Pokedex and then put a running animation over one of those attack animations so that when they're running towards the camera, you can then freeze it, take a screenshot, green screen it, put it in a video, and then like I stick those Pokemon in like the grass in the wild area running towards me as a trainer. So I mean,
heck. Yeah, but that is the kind of thing that takes your thumbnail to the next level because, like, first of all, 99.9% of creators would not think to do that. Heck, I wouldn't even think to do it, and I'd be willing to put the time in to do it, but I wouldn't think to do it.
Yeah, this is a lot of time. I don't.
But you could show this. You could show this on the podcast. I already showed you this one. Toby.
Yeah, Toby, edit that in.
I'll edit in this thumbnail. Edit in this thumbnail.
Those I'll give you the timestamp. Those screenshots, those Pokemon screenshots aren't actually in the grass. I just put them. I took a screenshot of the wild area.
Yeah.
And then did the running animations of the two Pokemon, then screenshot them from the Pokedex and put them in.
Wow, that's so. And obviously, you're building your thumbnails from images that you're taking yourself. I tend to build mine from assets found online. Like if I wanted an image of the wild area, it would not occur to me to go into the game and grab the image that I want. I would just Google sort into your wild area.
Yeah, see that's
sort by size largest, and then
that's why I think it's better to get it yourself because. How many other people do you think search online wild area and you don't get like an original image at the end of it because it's just someone else's screenshot of the wild area and it might be something as similar and small as that, but I think that matters sometimes.
Cool. No, I agree. I think that's incredible.
It's harder for me because like every other video is like almost like a completely different series sometimes. So I don't know what to do for the thumbnail, so I just do the default True Green 7 thumbnail. Well, if it's like a series, like a long-running series like this, I'll be able to maybe start experimenting and actually being confident that the people are going to watch the video regardless. So now I'm gonna invest more time in the thumbnail too because I know the video is going to do well already, basically. Yeah,
they do say though, don't they? I remember my manager saying to me, it's like, well, you want to make thumbnails look similar in a sense, right? So enough to the point where a viewer knows that it's your video through your thumbnail, right? So like you have that. I mean, Ron, you're clearly doing something right.
Yeah.
You got a good thing going on right now. And I know when I see your thumbnail or a thumbnail that you've made, I know which video I'm clicking on. I know I'm clicking on one of your videos, which is a good thing to have. Not a lot of creators have that.
I wonder if people avoid my channel because like people who don't like True Green 7, they're like, I'm not gonna click that because I know that's True Green 7.
Well, if you think that's the case, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with experimenting. I think a lot of creators need to do this too. Is if you make a video and you upload a thumbnail and you only get like say 30k views or whatever, just change the thumbnail to something else. And if you want to take your face out of it or change the style so you don't think it looks like a True Green 7 thumbnail, it might be worth it because if it goes into recommended, you might find an audience you didn't know you had.
It's always worth experimenting from time to time. I tend to find that I go through phases of like when Legends Arceus came out, I did a series of like 10 thumbnails that were effectively like all the different theories for Legends Arceus, but the thumbnail is almost formatted exactly the same background asset, same everything. And then it's like, okay, but now we're talking about Scarlet and Violet, so all of the Scarlet and Violet videos have a certain kind of thumbnail that's sort of an evolution of the Legends Arceus one, and I'm sure it'll continue to be like that. But occasionally I did one yesterday talking about graphics, and it's if we're throwing up images, I'll throw up this thumbnail as well because it's really unique for me. It's really unique for my channel, and it's this one that has SpongeBob for the first time a different IP. Like I don't think I've ever done that in the thumbnail.
I saw this
because it's like a meme.
Me neither, actually.
I still don't know if it's a good thumbnail. I still have no idea.
But you did the Zoomer title and everything.
It is a Zoomer.
Yeah. So I did the title with all the letters, like it's capital then non-capital then capital then non-capital.
And I watched that video.
Hey, cool. Well,
So,
yeah,
I guess it
I
worked.
did. I did too. When you talk about the anti-aliasing, I was like, "Yep, he's got the eye." Like I see, he
bothering me
sees
so
it.
much. It's a small thing. But no, it's not a small thing. It's like I'm watching that trailer and I want to watch the characters moving in the world, but I'm so distracted by other things happening on the screen that just shouldn't be there. And we're not going to turn this podcast into a whole argument about the graphics or anything.
No, I do have a couple of things to say about it.
But like, I definitely, Pokemon is progressing in a really good direction. It is not where I want it to be yet. I think it'll get there one day. I'm just frustrated that it's not there yet.
We've seen what Breath of the Wild did with the, really utilizing the Switch's, ability to create a beautiful game. There is absolutely no excuse why Pokemon can't do the same. And again, as the highest grossing free media franchise in the world, I personally, when I look at these games, it's bad in a way because I've come to expect from Game Freak. I'm like, oh, this game looks great. But like, it's not what it could be with the hardware that they have. And granted, the Switch is anything that they don't harp on about, right?
But there's the what the counter argument to what you just said is, right?
Go on, hit me.
The counter argument is throwing money. Like, there's a phrase: 9 women can't make a baby in 1 month. Which is that the more money you throw at a problem. I learned that from my comments section, actually, from this video. It was really good. I love this quote. Just throwing money at the problem, hiring more people, does not necessarily mean they'll solve the issue. It's not to say they couldn't do better. Absolutely.
Sure.
It's just, it's so easy to armchair CEO and sort of like, well, they should just do X, Y, or Z. At the end of the day, I don't know the internals of Game Freak. I don't know what that's like. There might be more efficient ways for them to do it, but they got to do it the way that they do it because no one else knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
And that's the counter. But I also don't disagree that, like, money.
I personally don't care about Pokemon graphics because I never have. I love Pokemon for what it is. I do think like I can understand why people say what they say, and I can agree with them maybe putting more effort into making the games look a little prettier. But it's never an issue for me. I can just agree with the broader audience that hey, maybe that these games could look a little bit more polished. And I agree with you when you made your video and the anti-aliasing or the lack of it was pretty bad.
To be fair, when it comes to the anti-aliasing, Pokemon is bad at it, but in the trailer, it's from a completely different angle that you're going to play the game with, and it's not going to focus on, let's say, the rails that were had crazy aliasing. It's going to...
Wow. What if it's a cutscene and the camera pans to you and you're running past the camera? Like, it could be anything. We don't know, do we?
Sure, but the cutscenes are pretty good. The cutscenes are pretty good.
Pan the camera around and you might want to get a view of you running towards the camera, and then you can see in the background this, scarring alien. I get why... I don't get how, personally, how they can't maybe correct something like that with a little bit of I don't know. It's early game development, maybe, again, it's not final game, potentially.
Also, the rails are, a very shiny metallic material, so that could factor into it.
Yeah, no, we can go back and forth like this, I guess the whole thing, but I just think that there could be extra effort made. I don't care, because I'm going to play the game anyway and enjoy it anyways, but I would appreciate the extra effort.
That's where I land. Yeah. I'm on the exact same page.
I only empathize a little bit specifically with this specific example because when I was making my thesis animation film, the toughest thing to render were literally these metal rails that I had in the animation.
Right, but you're like an independent. This is like
of course. I just know that
big boy first party developer.
Of course. It's just then that's technically not even that's not the same kind of rendering. So
yeah, exactly. But no, we should definitely talk about the news because I think Ceruledge is one of the best designed Pokemon I've ever seen. I absolutely love that Pokemon.
If it's a legendary. If it's a legendary, I think that's one of the coolest legendaries. If it's a normal...
well, that's what people were saying about legendary. I didn't even track in my head that it was a legendary. It just, it reminds me of Calyrex in the Glastrian Spectria. Yeah. It looks like they were toying with that, back in the DLC, because it's like the knight and the horse.
Have you seen the fan edit of Ceruledge on Spectria?
I haven't, no.
It's on Twitter. It looks amazing. It
sounds sick.
Combo.
I think that those two are going to be riding Koraidon and Miraidon in the past.
Yeah, well, that's maybe that'd be an alternate form. I thought with Glastrian and Spectria. I could be as well. It might also be instead of there being a trio of Pokemon, it's just a duo and it's those two maybe. But I also didn't even track in my mind that they were legendaries.
Don't think they're going to be legendary.
If they're not, those are not good designs. For
no, I think they're going to be like the new Lucario / Zoroark.
Oh yeah,
that's
very good.
I could very easily see them doing a Scarlet and Violet movie with these
that's
two
what I was
Pokemon
just gonna say.
As the front.
Yeah.
You don't think?
Perhaps.
They might be legendary. I don't know, but I've just got a feeling.
Koraidon and Miraidon are the legendaries, right? They are just there, and they have an association to them. It is like other. I'm trying to think of a legendary off the top of my head that has an association with a regular Pokemon. But they have made Lucario and the Mystery of Mew and stuff like that. They've made movies like that where they have connections with Pokemon. But I agree. I don't think they're legendary. I just think they have an association with the legendaries already.
I'd expect there to be some nice deep lore in there.
I guess,
there's going to be something they talk about, right?
Diancie, it was a mythical.
Carbink.
Yeah,
Diancie Carbink, yeah.
Yeah,
boom, there you go. Thank you.
So that could be.
That's
That
why
could happen. You're welcome. I originally did not like Armor Rouge as much. I still love Ceruledge more, but I originally didn't like it as much because like the blaster is like floating on its shoulder, but then I realized it's a psychic type, so like because usually those shoulder armor is like attached to the shoulder, but it's like floating above it. I thought that was just like bad graphics, but I guess it's because it's floating.
It's intentional, yeah, because it literally like is using its psychic powers to hover there, and then it comes to its front like a Mega Man blaster.
But it really does not look like a psychic type. Honestly, yellow and red. It should have been like red and like pink or something. I don't know.
Well, I disagree. After doing all the Pokemon modding and stuff like that we've done, and having all these custom Pokemon made for us, everybody does that. It's like, oh, it's green, it must be a grass type. And then we had one guy come in that made Pokemon for us, or like, made custom forms, like alternate regional forms or whatever, of their own region or whatever. And they started using colors that don't necessarily attribute to the Pokemon's type, which I appreciate more. I think that's still done in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
but, like, you look at Jinx, for example, like, you wouldn't think that's a Psychic or Ice type. There's no real pink or blue on it.
Yeah,
I don't think that a Pokemon's type should be depicted by the color that it is.
No, I just don't like yellow.
that's a you problem, Ron. That's not... I think the red and yellow looks great.
It's also just like to me, when I think yellow and red, I think mustard and like ketchup. So it's just like, I also don't like.
It's like the burning red flame versus a burning blue flame. To me, it's like you get like, sort of like the whole Spectre kind of vibe from the blue one because it's a ghost type.
But for some reason, the yellow is almost like a majority, like in that color scheme. Like it's more yellow than red. Which doesn't match Koraidon, for example. While
this is
Miraidon does really match with Ceruledge. It does.
This is
match.
because of True Yellow 7, isn't it? This is because
I hate the guy.
What went down? Yeah, he's awful, and just slightly over from you, but that was weak. That was really weak.
Yeah,
that was a really weak joke.
A little bit weak. Yeah, a little bit weak joke. But
I
listen,
want to be basic.
It's not as weak as Sarah. It's not nowhere near as weak as Cerulege's design. Ceruledge looks amazing.
Yeah, it's stunning. Yeah. And I hate to be basic and be like, the cool Pokemon is cool. I almost sit in rebellion to that usually, where I'm like, I don't
You're
care
a
about
hipster.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Zoroark's cool. Nah, it's fine. But no, like this is legit cool. This is a legitly awesome Pokemon.
It's a legitimately cool Pokemon for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, 100%. But what else was there revealed? They have obviously Cloth. Everyone's a big fan of Cloth.
Phoebe, did you see Phoebe's Twitter?
Oh yeah,
Phoebe. Yeah, Pokemon responded to Phoebe's art tweet, right, which I thought was really sick. I'm very, very happy for her. That was very exciting.
She was beside herself. She was.
We literally had conversations, me and Phoebe. I said, listen, I think you could absolutely be a TCG artist if you want to get there. You absolutely could do it.
She could.
And and then this happens. I'm just like, listen, you're one step closer.
You're on the way.
True. She should enter that contest. I think maybe she did.
Oh, they can't because it's usually open for NA and not UK and EU.
Really?
So that's why she hasn't entered it yet. But she's waiting. She said to me she was waiting.
Oh yeah, she's waiting for her day for that. I think.
Yeah, she'd smash it. She'd do a really good job at it, I think.
I would if there were Phoebe made Pokemon cards, I would collect everyone in every grade. Oh my god,
every card's graded.
I would literally
you're biased.
make my whole collection. No.
Bro, I would do the same, bro. That's insane. Imagine having one of your own friends that's drawing on like our favorite collectible. That's unreal. That's so cool.
If Phoebe had Pokemon cards, I think I would just like cry every time I see one. I would be like, "It's Phoebe's card," and just see
everybody gets to witness her art. That'd be wonderful.
Yo,
yeah.
I'm now just imagining for the first time a world in which other people open packs and they're like, I love the art on this, and I'm like,
yeah. Makes you bless it. That's amazing. Bless you.
Oh my god, I gotta go talk to her about that career path.
I wish they released the art for cards, like 16:9, so I can use them as like wallpapers, or like I have.
Oh yeah, you know what the best thing? You have to get the HD resolution versions.
It would be the best. I would put them in. Like, I have this like custom. I have this like Google Home near me that I have this like 500 plus images of just like Pokemon art that just goes on a slideshow near me. It's very soothing, and the Pokemon card art is perfect for that. But like none of them are like officially released just as art. I've got a folder filled with like Pokemon art that's like official. So like, for example, the art that appears on a lot of the packs. So like I've got this playmat with Reshiram and Charizard on it, right? And this is Michihiro Ita, the guy who drew the original Charizard card. It's a beautiful artwork. I think it's stunning, but it's not actually the artwork that's on the card. For the audience, Toby is holding up nothing. No, he's confusing us. I'll edit in a thing. They'll see. They'll get to see. But we're editing in images into this podcast apparently. Anyway, so
timestamping.
Yeah. But like, what's really cool about the artwork is, or what's a shame about it rather, is it doesn't appear anywhere other than just on the packs and on that playmat. and then that's it. We don't get to enjoy it anywhere. I'd love that as wallpaper.
I think I enjoy basically every single Pokemon because of Pokemon cards, or just art in general. Whenever I see, like, whenever a Pokemon is revealed, then I may not even like it that much, but then automatically, like, you see just like a fan art like an hour later, and just the personality of that Pokemon is brought out a bit more, and I just like it way more. So that's why I'm always open to just enjoying any Pokemon, because just one fan art can make my decision.
I feel the exact same way, but with playthroughs, because I used to hate. I think I told you this story already, like at Tobys' house. But I never was a fan of the 3 elemental monkeys, and then me and Christian used them in a Soul Link one time and gave them all human names and stuff, and they've been like an absolute like. They've been brilliant. Like, we love them every time we see them now. It's like, oh, that's him. That's our guy. So.
Same. Yeah. Like I could like ironically enjoy Pokemon too.
Well,
I'm not saying that's what was happening, but
I think that is a perfect way for you to generate a Pokemon and see if you like it.
Hopefully, it's another unpopular Pokemon. So, because we're gonna definitely use.
So what's happening? What's going on?
So on this podcast, if you're new, we basically generate in the middle of the episode a random Pokemon, and then we see what crazy conversations we can talk about, see where the conversation can go. It's basically an icebreaker.
A cute little segment. I like this.
It's basically proving that it's like Pokemon is the ultimate icebreaker. It definitely it works even better when you have a guest, because like I mean no ice needs to be broken with me and Toby. He's already broken all the ice.
He's already chilling.
Hey.
Maybe we'll get an ice type. Let's go. Oh, thank God. A Pokemon that's not the best in the thumbnail. Vullaby.
Oh, Vullaby! Amanda Buzz!
Yeah.
I'm a little bit disappointed we got a Generation 5 Pokemon, but...
Oh, really? What's your opinion on Generation 5?
I don't like it.
Oh, that sucks.
But you know why? You know why I don't like it? I think the reason is that it was around the time I went to college and I stopped playing Pokemon. So I didn't get excited for it. I didn't get the chance to be excited for it. I didn't get the chance to, like, involve myself in this new Pokedex and stuff. And I started getting into it again when I made my channel, like March 2013. And like X and Y came out that year. And I love X and Y thinking back on it. Like, I don't know, X and Y ultimately is not the greatest game, but it holds so many memories for me. And it's very, very fun for me to go back and think about. But with Generation 5, I feel like I just don't have much of an attachment to it. And Pokemon is like a very... I'm sure like you guys can understand, but since it's a game from our childhood, like there's like an emotional connection with like me and Pokemon. Like I wouldn't, if I didn't love it as much as I did, I wouldn't be doing my job around it, right? But like with Generation 5, when I started playing it, I thought it looked like kind of weird because it was like pixel graphics and they kept like zooming out and like the animation again with Pokemon. You take one pixel and then rotate it starts to look jagged and gross. So I didn't like the engine. Yeah. I didn't like the engine to begin with because I didn't like how everything looked. And it's rubbed off on me more now. And I think the story's great, but I just don't have that. You know what I mean? Like that initial sort of like connection with it, which I think I just missed out on. Which
is crazy because like I took like a hiatus like during the second half of Generation 4, and Gen 5 kind of brought me back. But I wasn't like attached to it when I was playing it. It was probably the only generation where I just grew to love it even more and more as the years went on. Every other generation, I loved it from the beginning or didn't like it as much from the beginning. Generation 5 is my favorite because I grew to appreciate it instead of it just being nostalgic or something for me.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I see. It's very mature of you. But that makes sense.
So it's based on New York City, right? And that's where I live. And I wish when I was playing it that I realized that all these places are based on places around me. I knew that like Castelia City was Manhattan, but everything else I didn't really understand. Right. So it was just crazy also just like finding out like how detailed Unova was compared to what I thought it was. As I was learning more about around me, like I was starting to go on walks and bike rides and even car rides around my city while also learning about Unova at the same time and like going to the places that things in Unova are based on. It was really fun, and I think I
can totally get that now that we got like Sword and Shield and experience.
Exactly, yeah.
It wasn't the greatest generation of Pokemon, but I had such a blast playing through it the first time just because of the quirky dialogue that, it was nice because I don't know about you, Toby, but I've got a majority of like an American audience. So it's fun to like read the dialogue from Sword and Shield, react to it, like laughing, and then like a chat being like, what does that mean? You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, you just you do.
Literally
listen,
everything
why,
Hop says, it's like
Pants.
That's just a thing we'd say, you know.
Yeah, it was such a. It was an experience.
After our road trip, obviously earlier this week, I did that live stream and like getting to Turfield again and just standing there. Given that we went up to Stonehenge so recently and that we've just done all of that driving around and seeing the landscape of Wiltshire, and it's just all of it from honestly like. Even though I know it's the Cotswolds for Wedgehurst and Postwick, it's still the exact same vibe. And like you going through that starting area and then to Turfield where the first gym is, all of it feels like home. And we are the only two Poketubers. We're the only two who are going to get that game.
It's like you wanted to get to the next area to see like where the parallels were between like the UK and for me Wiltshire specifically. When I saw the chalk.
Hill, the toxicity.
Yeah, the chalk hill, and thought about like the Westbury horse and stuff like that. I was like, I was overjoyed almost. It was like nice to feel represented. I think was the big thing, right? It's like, yes, the UK, so.
Yeah, it was the same thing for me. Like for example, the New Vema town is literally based on where I was raised, and where I currently live. I kind of slowly realized is where one of my favorite routes is based on. So it's like. It's magical, and also especially when I was also creating my own region, like for my own channel, like basically an entire game. I was just walking around my house and my town and just translating basically the structure of everything that.
That's cool.
It's probably not going to be this generation, but probably next generation there will be. New Unova content. There'll be new like either remakes
Pokemon
or
Black and White
remaster,
3.
Or whatever
that might be. That might be.
And you'll get to
the thing that makes me love Gen 5. Yeah,
enjoy this all again.
I'll say it here. Right, I said that I would reveal what like my next kind of like fan made region that I'm doing on my channel is. I think it is gonna be like a Black and White 3, where based on like the places in New York that weren't translated, and like 3 years after Black and White 2 or something like that. And also, I think the gimmick is going to be that the entire map changes with every season. It's going to be like a smaller region because it's only part of Unova, but it's completely different every season. So that's going to be.
I think that would be a cool way to do the season thing. Having like new areas become accessible because of the weather conditions and stuff like that. That'd have been pretty cool.
I don't think they went far enough with that in Black and White. Like I thought it was, and I'm sad that they didn't continue it into later generations because like I thought the idea of I feel like Icarus City is the one that changes the most. There was definitely locations that like. But it was more like, you can get up here and get a Pokeball or different Pokemon spawn, and that's nice, but like full areas that are only accessible at certain seasons or certain seasons affecting things that
reward exploration, aren't you? So
I would love them to go further. I really like Gen 5. I'll be honest, like it didn't start that way. I do think it came at an awkward point in Pokemon's history, just in terms of most people's journeys through it and aging up. But like at the same time, both Black and White, where you have the complete freshness of only Unova Pokemon, and then Black and White 2, which is such a masterful, complicated game that has so many different routes and characters and themes and everything. Both games, I think, have a lot to love. I'm really looking forward to future Unova content. Within the next 3 to 5 years.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that wave. I want to make it explicitly clear that I don't hate the generation. I vibed with it, and I got into that generation maybe at the wrong time. So I wish I was playing Pokemon at the time. I wish I got to experience the release.
When you're replaying a Pokemon game for whatever Let's Play that you're going through, do you gain appreciation for the region itself again, or like even more, or is you're playing too fast with a lot of stories that are happening that you just don't really take the time to?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it depends on how long it's been since I've played it, right? And we would cycle out generations when we play different games, making sure we don't play the same generation back to back to back. But it's always, I think, like for me, I mean, we all have our favorites, like when it comes to like, the region, the Pokemon don't necessarily matter because I play randomized all the time, but like the region, the music, stuff like that. I would say yes in some cases, right? But I played through enough of the games so many times that I don't think there's anything new that I can see. You know what I mean? So like I don't ever. I'll put it plain and simple for you. I love Pokemon, and it's like very, very hard for me to find new appreciation because I already love it to bits as it is. You know what I mean? And this is coming from somebody that, as a kid, before randomizers were even a thing, I used to just play through Gen 1 and Gen 2 like over and over and over and over again, dumping my Pokemon into Pokemon Stadium, then replaying the game with a new team because I'd use a completed game to like make a level 5 Pokemon or hatch a random egg and then give it to me to play through the game again with. I would like, in a sense, making up my own randomizer. So when I fell into this job and was playing through the games over and over again, it almost just came naturally to me because that's what I've been doing my entire childhood anyways, just replaying the games. And I never got bored of it. Never got bored of it.
When was the last time you just played a game off camera? A Pokemon game, specifically.
Silver, actually. And it doesn't happen often, but I played Pokemon Silver.
When was that?
And I wanted to do a living dex. It was about 2-3 months ago.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
I set up Pokemon Stadium in my living room because I love Pokemon Stadium, and I found a way to transfer up physical Pokemon cartridges up to Pokemon Home. Cool. So I was like, I'm going to make a living dex in Pokemon Stadium and in Pokemon Silver because it's one of my favorite games to play. And I think I got to like 240 in my dex, and I haven't touched it in a while. But I had so much fun because I found like what was it? I got Patterrz in the game, and I found like some glitches to mess around with where you can get like a shiny Ditto and breed shiny Pokemon, and just stuff like that, and just getting to experience the game. Did a glitch to get Celebi, and whatever. It was just it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to just play the game.
So yeah, for me it's like I guess the opposite, where it's like I only play Pokemon off screen, and I play like 1 to 2 Pokemon games a year. So
well,
it's
I'm
like
the same.
And
really.
So it'll be like 5 years between like playing X and Y and another playthrough of X and Y, for example. So I'll forget the layout of everything, and it is like I'm playing through it all over again for the first time, at least when it comes to layout.
That's fair. Yeah, I play the game so much, right, that I don't get that, right? I know almost all the games at the back of my hand in a sense. But before Silver, I think that if I'm honest with you, the last time I played Pokemon, like off screen to play Pokemon, was probably when I got X and Y. And back then I didn't have a 3DS capture card or anything like that, so I couldn't capture my playthrough. And I remember just sitting in one of my friends' bedrooms at college. And it was like, there was 3 or 4 of us. We were all just in that room playing X and Y for like 7 or 8 hours straight. So now that was the last time. And it does suck, like, because when I do this, when Pokemon games come out, we have to stream it, or like I have to stream it. I know, like
you gotta make content right away. Yeah,
I immediately playing the game. I do miss not being able to just sit in like a big living room with drinks and food and snacks and just be on your console playing the game and experiencing it with your friends. But in the same vein, I kind of get that, but to a larger degree on stream because I get to like react. Oh, my absolute favorite thing is when something crazy happens and I am like popping off for it and then being able to share that with somebody, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you were almost anyone else and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this thing exists, or this Pokemon evolves, or this story thing is happening, and somebody else is like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Right? if I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. My entire chat's like, what? Crazy. The whole chat just starts flooding with comments. That is like so exciting because I really feel like I'm in a room full of people at that point. But I do wish that there were, I want both. I can't have both, but I want both to be able to experience it by myself and also with like a big group of people. So
I wish I could just have my like just a normal like iPhone camera recording me while I'm playing it, and I only like release videos of me reacting to just like the new music whenever I encounter it, because like that's the only time that I'm like audibly like shouting. I'm like, wow, this is really good. Or obviously like story beats and stuff like that. I have noticed the more YouTubery I become, the farther I go into my career. the farther I go into my career, when I'm just playing Pokemon, I am audibly like speaking about what's going on and like reacting.
Then I think you should just stream it, Ron. I already do.
I tried streaming. I streamed like my first 2 days of Arceus, and it's like you need a balance where it's like I can't talk every other minute. Yeah, I'll react to like things that I'm reacting to, but that's like every 5 minutes. You'd be
surprised. You don't need to talk all the time. There are plenty of creators that will stream content and they'll mumble or like just chat for a few minutes and then pop off when something big happens. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's each to their own at that point.
Maybe the better thing for you, Ron, would be to stream it but without video. And without your video, so just gameplay, and that gives you the freedom. But then I feel even worse.
I feel like, oh no, I have to talk because they can't see my expression.
No, I think that gives you the freedom to people are just tuning in. It's just gameplay, and you don't feel the need like I'm being watched, and you need to perform.
I'm fine.
There's plenty of people that stream without camera.
But then what's the point of streaming then?
What do you mean? What's the point in streaming? It's not. I said there are plenty of creators that make videos and stream without face cam. You don't have to. You don't need to have a face cam to be a streamer.
And I don't know, they're being entertaining. Like I assume, and they enjoy the process and they enjoy doing it. I'm assuming. I think that's just not a thing that will make me want to stream more.
Sure.
Maybe here's the thing. When I was doing it, also when I wouldn't talk for let's say like 3 minutes, they would just start having their own conversations. And I kind of felt like left out, and then they would just like they weren't talking. We're not talking about the same things. So like, what's the point of them like having their own conversations when I'm just playing the game? I felt like it made me less interested in streaming. I don't know why.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's natural though, because I do also, even when I'm streaming high energy and stuff, people are having their own conversations amongst themselves, like greeting people, so, asking how they are, like what they're doing, and there are people that do that. Because I don't think, especially if you are a little bit lower energy, people are probably gonna, talk about other things, and that's when you can chime in and be like, oh, okay, because they're talking in your chat, so you almost have the power to chime in on anything that's said in chat, anyways, because it's in your chat. So you have the freedom to sort of like make yourself part of the conversation at any point. If people start talking about whatever in chat, I will just inject myself and be like, oh yeah, that's happened to me, or that's really cool, or whatever, and sort of like take a piece out of that and make a conversation for everybody to be a part of.
I think also the literal biggest reason I don't stream is because I'm not a gamer, so I can't play a game more than like 2 hours.
That's actually fair. Well, I mean, I don't. My stream, my usual not maximum, but I only ever want to stream for about an hour and a half before I'm done. Because I don't like streaming for extended periods of time unless it's like a new game release and like that or sleep lock, and we only ever do them like every 4 or 5 months. I don't try to sit there and stream for hours and hours and I can't do it. Unless it's like a multiplayer game, I get lost in those. Like if I play Unite, I could just stream that for hours.
Is gaming your biggest passion in terms, at least as a hobby or interest? Or
it used to be.
What do you think?
I used to play games all the time. Now I feel like I can't because I feel like I have to stream it, right? I think creating. Honestly, really? I think creating is my biggest passion because, like I said, we talked about with Toby earlier about like me having the drive to learn how to do things. I am always thinking about what I can do next to make content better or finding cooler things. Like I recently hit up like a modeler and I was thinking about like when I do fusions, like, oh, can I maybe learn how to do some model stuff? Or like over the years I've learned how to do a bunch of crazy stuff with like OBS and like I'd have my little scenes and stuff that I would learn how to do. A bunch of other little things like that. Like I have a true passion for trying to set myself aside from other creators, I guess, and trying to do things a little bit different and, I don't know, set myself aside, I guess, like differentiate myself a little bit. Yeah. As much as I can do when it comes to creating Pokemon content, because all the Pokemon content that's made at the moment is, almost the same across like various creators.
You actually like to create. That's why you're a YouTuber, not because you like playing the video games.
Yeah, where I started as well. Like I started on like this tiny little website called Cheesy Art, and I used to get a pen and paper, and I used to draw some stupid art, and I submit it online. It'd get like 4 views. And like people were like, "Oh, this is really good, actually." Like, well, whatever. And that was my first experience at the age of 13, seeing people interact with my art, and that's like, what? That was like 16 years ago.
Whoa.
But like that was my first experience with that, right? And I think that was just what ignited the flame from there. I was like, I love doing this. Like, I love making things because it's like, I would like making things and showing my mum and my sister or whatever. Like, oh, look at this, I made this thing, and they're like, oh, that's really cool. But to put it on a public platform where literally anybody can see it and comment on it was like, it was just cool. Yeah. Having someone tell you your work is sick is just it does something to me that like nothing else can do.
And when it comes to like collaborating with other creators, I think those are the type of creators that I enjoy making videos with. People who actually enjoy some part of the process, and not just the topic or like the game. And that's why I guess I gravitated towards Toby, for example, because like he is an artist. Like
yeah, we all are for sure.
Like, I don't know why I rolled there. That was really for those of you listening, there was an audible eye roll. I'm not
talking about drawing. He sucks at drawing.
That's really nice of you to say.
I'm talking about like performing arts. Definitely. And I feel like that's. The more I go through my career, that's the kind of people that I want to start collab. Definitely this year, I said like this is the year of the collabs. I want to collab more with people who are actually passionate about the arts and want to make a thing, whether it be a series or a video.
Rising tides raise all shit, boys. That's what I'm saying, man. We all do. If one of us does well, we all do well. That's how it should be. And again, like I said, I've fallen out a little bit out of love with like editing and stuff like that because like, it's just tedious, right? But like I have a passion for making things and showing thing to people and people be like, wow, you know, it's just like there is something that in my brain that just tickles, right? So it's like
this naturally segues into I think the interview portion of our guest episode. There's a lot of questions that I would like to ask, and also we asked Twitter some questions that they would like to ask you. I'll ask my own question first. Like, what are some of your favorite I'm just gonna ask basically what your favorite of everything is, honestly. But first, like, hey, what's some of your favorite like? I personally don't care about video games, but what are your favorite video games? Because I think the audience would love to hear that.
Okay, so I think ever since I started like creating content, right, I think I more or less gravitated to multiplayer games, right? There are some solo, like single player games that I love and enjoy. I wouldn't be able to quote them to you right now because I haven't played single player games in like what feels like forever. So like right now it's like Valorant, it's Smash, it's Mario Party. Okay, Mario Party is probably one of my favorite things to play. I absolutely love Mario Party. I've been getting into a lot of like Dragon Ball Fighters recently. Blame Josh for that one, but like, I mean, I dabble a little bit in a lot of things, right? But if I see other people playing the game, like I'll be like, oh, I want to get in on that one because it's fun to experience. If I learn anything, it's just fun to experience games with other people. So multiplayer games, making like, for example, getting into Valorant and having a team of people and playing Pokemon Unite, getting a team of people and playing, you know, socially playing games, just it's fun. It is really, really fun. Back in the day though, when I was younger, like I think one of my favorite games to play was like Twilight Princess for when we played on the GameCube, right? And me and my friend Grant would come back from school like every day, and we 100% of that game, and we were 100% in it in like 2 or 3 weeks. But we'd come back from school every single day and just play for hours. I used to love couch co-oping with people. Like we would just trade the controller between each other, trying to complete puzzles and trying to beat stuff together. I don't ever do that as much now because, like, you know, the world is more connected and we do more multiplayer stuff like through, you know, competitive means. And I am a very competitive person. So like I do enjoy like fighting games and, you know, or like, you know, competitive shooters and just competitive games in general with like two sides that fight each other, you know. So
and those really is the more we get into, let's say, the pandemic definitely affected this, but like people definitely are trying to find other people to play games with and trying to be less lonely. And I think video games now are one of the most valid ways to connect with other people. And I'm learning that I need to hop on to that. I need to start doing that.
Sure. I honestly think that there's definitely like a game out there for you, even if it was just to start playing like Unite. Like Unite is the easiest one, right?
Really?
It's easy, it's addictive, it's Pokemon. Like you can literally start playing that game in a day and have sort of like a master of your Pokemon and your character and enjoy yourself. Especially when you're playing with like 4 other people. Like it's just that game is really fun to play with people, with friends. So
I'll try it out.
You should.
It seems like I thought it died down, but I guess people are still.
No, I tell you what, like, one of my friends was saying to me, he was like, oh, I don't really want to play Valorant right now. And I think he was falling out of love with it. And I was like, what other multiplayer game can we play together? And I was like, oh, let's just hop on Unite. And ever since then, I've just been addicted to Unite again. So, yeah.
Toby, I'll ask actually one of the viewer questions.
Okay.
So, we got a viewer named, what is it? Patterrz. He said,
not this guy.
Hi, Luke. Long-time watcher, first-time caller. What's your favorite gym leader from Kalos? Thanks. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Lots of love from Daniel.
Odd question for him to ask. From Kalos? It's funny. Maybe I should say Grant because he's got the same name as my friend. I remember popping off to him about that. Like, it never really mattered, right? I think I'll probably say Grant. I think he's cool. I think Grant's cool.
Grant, interesting design. Definitely.
How about you guys? I think you should answer this. I think you guys should answer this.
Specifically Kalos?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grant.
Just make sure.
It's the correct answer.
Oh
no, objectively, no, it genuinely is. Like, because
really,
all the other gym leaders in Kalos are just normal, average gym leaders. Grant is like that gen's Whitney, just in that having an Aurorus that's good, like Ice Rock,
okay.
And then you've also got the Tyrant that's Dragon Rocket. It's like the second gym. Genuinely tough gym. Genuinely good gym.
I'm a big fan of Viola's design in the anime when she has like a ponytail and looks fancy.
Oh, I was gonna say Viola was gonna be my second answer. So I'm not lying. It's the first one that came to mind.
I really like her, but I think Wolfric is also really cool. Other than that, like the others aren't. It's one of the least interesting in terms of gym leaders. Maybe like the second. Like I think Johto has the least interesting gym leaders. Others like Whitney or Claire, but like, yeah.
What's wrong with you, man? Bro, am I on this podcast with this guy slandering Gen 2? Get out, man.
Here's what's funny. I just did a poll for all the Pokemon characters. The video's actually coming out. I mean, it'll be out by now. So go watch it, guys. Go to True Green 7. Go watch it. It's coming out technically in 2 days. True Green
7 here.
I asked everybody. I made a poll about literally every Pokemon character, main series character, and I also split into categories. And yeah, Johto was the least popular.
Everybody, well, listen. Just because it's the popular opinion doesn't mean it's the truth. Okay, listen. Everyone hates Gen 2.
They used to. I mean, it's still obviously beloved, but it's just like when people like start learning the truth, they always like go to the extreme. So like they're learning that Gen 2 isn't as good as we thought it was, but now people are like, oh no, Gen 2 is the worst.
Nah, yeah. Everyone's hating on Gen 2 now, right?
Well, and now this is the third. We're getting like another course correction with Gen 5. Originally, people hated it, then people loved it, and because people love it now, people are like, "Oh no, it's not as good as you think it is."
Yeah. People can't make their mind up.
That's how Pokemon is. But I mean, I asked you favorite games, but like, what's your favorite like just franchises in general outside of games? That I'm really interested in. Learning.
Outside of games?
Yeah, like whether it be shows, anime, I don't know.
Oh, I mean, okay. My favorite anime is Steins Gate.
Steins Gate.
I'm a bit of a time travel guy. Like I really like time travel.
You recommended this to me. You recommended me this. You were like, Toby, you'll love it. Yeah,
it's a slow burner for sure.
I don't know if Toby will love it, but it's a very critically acclaimed anime.
I really like. When I found out that it was like one of the, my anime list or whatever, it's like number 1 or number 2 on my anime list. I was like, what? I thought this was like an underrated anime, and it's just up there. And dude, Steins Gate, it does something to me, bro. Like I don't. Listen, we're all guys here, right? we don't know how to do emotion, right? We don't get raised. We get raised as men, and men don't show emotion, and we look after women, and that's how life is. Okay, so
let's make fire and cook meat. Let's do it.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe in England,
I don't know how to cry anymore. That show made me weep.
Oh, really?
It was so good. It was such a good. It was a brilliant show.
The Steins Gate opening is my second favorite opening of all time.
You are so intelligent. It hurts. What a great opening.
It is
for real.
Just a objectively good song. Oh,
I actually showed Dylan the show recently, and he really enjoyed it as well. I was very, very pleased because it's like you can watch it and be like, this is boring, but like once it gets into it, it's like wait, this has got some twists. So it's
I haven't watched the new Steins Gate season, I guess, series.
Steins Gate Zero. It's definitely not as good as you can just watch the original and be happy, right? You don't have to go any further than that. If you I was super invested, so I wanted to see it all. It wasn't as good, but like I definitely still enjoyed it.
I hear it's not bad. Like they didn't fumble anything or something.
Yeah, I'm easy to please though. I can watch crap movies and be like, that was good. And then my mate be like, that was awful.
Same. But now, I mean, that is technically a franchise, but it's less of an anime franchise, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like, franchise, that's a... Bro, wow. That's a really tough one. I literally I feel like I only play games.
You know what's hilarious? Right now, he's wearing a Naruto shirt, has a Naruto, poster, basically, in the background as other Naruto memorabilia.
You know why that is? It's because Naruto is the most recent anime for me to have watched, right?
Oh, really?
I only just watched it, so it's fresh in mind. So like when I see Naruto like stuff, like I'm like, oh, that's cool, because it's fresh in mind, and I really enjoy Naruto. It's not my favorite. I mean,
I don't enjoy Naruto. Like literally, the number one memorabilia.
I said I do enjoy. I enjoy Naruto. It's not my favorite.
I thought you said you don't enjoy Naruto.
No, I do enjoy. Bro. If I didn't enjoy Naruto, I would think I have.
No, he literally has like, other than Pokemon, it's like the number one memorabilia there in his room. It's hilarious.
I watched a scene from Naruto yesterday. Out of context of anything else.
Sorry. What did you just say?
I watched a scene from Naruto out of context.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't get it.
You mean Naruto?
I literally said Naruto. Like we said like 3 times, and now you're saying Naruto.
No, you're saying.
Are you
Naruto.
not paying attention to us, Toby?
It's like think about that character in Legend of Zelda. You call her Ruto, right?
Yeah.
It's not Naruto. It's Naruto.
Hang on, Naruto. What? Hang on.
No,
I'm going
not
to
Naruto.
slap this guy.
Naruto.
You're gonna come back to the UK just to slap me. Okay. Naruto.
Anyways, go on. Say what you're saying. I'm messing with you.
Naruto.
Oh, here's what's funny. Now you watch animes, I assume mostly subbed.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I watch them mostly dubbed. Say what you want. But I've noticed that subbed people who watch subs, they actually pronounce a lot of the names incorrectly more frequently than people watch the dubs because they're just reading it and they're not really hearing the names as much as.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. I mean, like that's because the English voice actors get told to say things a certain way, right? Like this is how it's actually pronounced. Whereas I guess like it just flies over their head when they're watching it subbed.
Yeah,
well,
which is interesting.
Recently, I watched out of context the scene of Naruto.
Brilliant.
And
that's even worse. But
yeah,
okay.
and it was a scene because my friend was telling me to watch like. Wait, hang on. Are you like up to date with it, Luke? You've seen it? Yeah.
Yes, I finished it.
I don't even know how spoilery it is. I have no idea. I was just
He's about to drop like a huge spoiler for the audience.
I was seeing like a villain entrance scene was basically what I was being told.
Oh, Madara.
And it was like this guy against an army of dudes, and I think Naruto was there, and they were all running at him, and then he just summoned a meteorite, and then the old guy is like, we can stop him. We can stop this from happening. And the old guy, he puts up a good fight, but then he brings out another meteorite, and I was like, oh, this guy's like the Mewtwo of this. He's like the ultimate life form.
No, you gotta watch it to understand it. Like
it is a good fight to watch out of context though, because it's really good choreography. But it's like definitely not a good representation of like all the fights in Naruto.
No, sure.
It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like once you get towards the end and they've acquired the power they wanted to acquire, it's like they become, it's like godly almost, right? Yeah. It's like, but there is a lot of preamp to that. Like that's not how it is. It's the big bad final
this guy is the ultimate life form kind
of
vibe.
Imagine in Pokemon them talking about Mewtwo for like 300 episodes and then he finally arrives.
Yes.
And it's like the coolest thing ever. That's exactly the context. It's really well done. Madara is probably top 5 anime villains in my opinion. But
have we got time for another Twitter question for Luke? You think?
We have time for
go on, hit me.
3.
All right, cool. I got one here from Oresti, which I think is
Oresti.
Oresti.
I thought like Oresti, like Oresti.
I don't know. However I pronounce names now, it's going to be wrong probably. So, hi Luke, what would your reaction be if we get a Rotom car in a Pokemon game? And I think specifically this is to do with the new trailer. In the new trailer, did you see the Stars car? The Team Stars car?
Yeah, but I saw people in the comment section were saying it had an eye or something, right?
Yeah. There's another Pokemon hidden in the trailer. For sure, without for certain, and some people said to me, "Oh, is it a Rotom car?" And I think that's why. Would you? I mean, if we got a Rotom car, would you be down?
Hey, listen, if I get any more Rotom forms, is a dub for me. I'm like so lucky. I picked the greatest Pokemon mascot ever because like we got into Sword and Shield, they got a bloody Rotom phone. They had Rotom in the PC with the Rotom bike. We had the Rotom camera. You know, like it was insane. I was like, this is mint. I know all I want is another Rotom form that we can use in battle. And I'm like, honestly, I don't care if Nintendo or Game Freak get mad about like my game, like the little Game Boy plushies. I want Rotom Game Boy to be an official thing as well. I think that'd be amazing.
Cool.
No.
Yeah.
Why is Rotom your favorite? Asks Celeste.
It's not my favorite. My favorite Pokemon used to be Lucario, and then it changed to Mew, and those two like hold very, very close places in my heart. But Game Boy Luke wasn't meant to be a Pokemon channel. It was meant to be like a Nintendo gaming channel. But I started with Pokemon Yellow, and then like got like Hayden liked one of my videos, and it sort of like propelled me into this trajectory of like, oh, I'm just gonna play Pokemon then. But back in the day, it was like all these Pokemon content creators was like, what's your Pokemon mascot? What's your Pokemon mascot? You know, like everybody had a Pokemon mascot, right? And I didn't have one. And I remember I was talking to some old creators, and one of them said to me, he's like, yo, can you imagine if Rotom went into a Game Boy? I hang up from call, I search online, I find an artist, I was like, hey, can you put Rotom on a Game Boy for me? And then ever since then, it's been like, it's on its Pokemon. It wasn't on my radar at all. It wasn't on my radar at all until someone said that to me, and I was like, no, Rotom's so cool. So.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's literally the perfect branding. You can reuse it for anything.
It's so easy to draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your logo. Did you make that logo yourself or did an artist?
No, that's all Skiz. Shout out to Skiz. He's a fantastic artist. It obviously is not Rotom, but it was heavily based off of Rotom and the little Thunderbolt and stuff like that. So like, yeah, it's like I identify with it essentially, and it's not Rotom.
It is not.
No.
I'm looking at it right now. It's not Rotom.
It's not.
But it was inspired by Rotom.
Yeah.
So
I feel that.
Now, Luke, Just Not Cobalt asks, what would your persona be?
Lucario.
Oh, okay, cool.
That was easy. You were ready
yeah,
with that.
Yeah, okay, wow.
You've thought about that before, I feel.
Easier than your favorite franchise, apparently.
Wait. I don't get it. Wait, what did you say?
What would your fursona be?
No, I know that. What did you say after that? You said from your favorite what?
Oh no, it was just easier to answer than your favorite franchise.
Oh, yes, it was. No more questions.
No more questions.
You're another one for me, gone.
Okay, Navy Blue Suicune, who's a patron of mine, so they've bought their way into this podcast to do this, clearly. So Luke, Navy Blue Suicune here. My question is, if you could make one or more major change to the Pokemon games or anime, what would that change be?
The games or the anime? Okay, so I think we had this conversation already, right? I think with the games, if they could make the games look like AAA developer, like, you know, like, not like okay. I want a Pokemon game that looks the best it possibly could without taking, like, but retaining the art style, right? I already get quite immersed into Pokemon games like that, right? But God, can you imagine playing a game like it's just absolutely stunningly beautiful, and the game is as beautiful as the music it is, and the creatures they create for it. It would just be absolutely beautiful. I think like that is probably the biggest stride they could make in their games is just to make them incredibly beautiful, more so than they are already. Again, I don't care. I'll enjoy the games either way. But if they did that, I know I would. Again, like we would talk about appreciation for art and stuff like that. I would just have an insane appreciation for it, I think. So,
this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think the art style, I enjoy the art style of Sword and Shield more than Gen 9. I don't think they nailed it. I think it looks technically better. Obviously, Gen 9, it's higher quality.
I see what you're saying. And I'm inclined to agree, but I don't know. I won't fully understand or know until I got my hands on it. I think the game is going to look and it's going to feel and play better than Sword and Shield does. But from an art style perspective, if we could have that control and, you know, how the game plays and handles, but the look of Sword and Shield, that's what I'm assuming you're talking about. I can definitely see that for sure.
I think Gen 8 was a natural progression from Generation 7, which was a natural progression from the previous, and so on. While Gen 9, that's a new art style, I think. But like I think if they just, because I think when I'm looking at new Pokemon that are revealed, they look way less like new Pokemon, while in the previous generations, that wasn't a problem for me. But again, that seems to be a problem with a lot of people. Like, in the previous generation...
I mean, that's a problem for people every single day. I say this every time. I said this on my stream when the news dropped yesterday. I was like, listen, everyone's going to be like, these look like Digimon. These look like this. These look like that. They're like Yu-Gi-Oh! Creatures or whatever. It's like, everyone's like that until, like, you know, they get to play the Pokemon themselves. And they're like, oh, wow, now they feel like Pokemon. I was like, well, duh, they're new. Like, you're not going to get that feeling immediately.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's normal. That's totally normal. It happens every single year. I've been here for every year at least for the last, like, 4 years. That's how it is.
And I noticed, like, when people choose their least favorite, like, Pokemon generations, let's say, and it's almost like always like relatively arbitrary. Like it's not for reasons that they could totally control, and it's like they'll have a problem with one generation, and that same problem would be present in a different generation, but for some reason they still like that generation, and maybe it could be nostalgia, it could just be just the gameplay, or for example, I don't know, Toby the only objective one that I've seen lately was that Toby doesn't like Gen 7. Simply because of the hand-holding. Like, hand-holding, I get it. That's, like, an objective thing. But everything else, it's, like, you can pick and choose, basically, what your favorite generation is. And it literally doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I personally, I just can't get over the fact that you'd openly be wrong on your own podcast. But, like, it's just a thing, you know? It's whatever.
That's what the Calm Mind podcast is all about.
Yes, sir. I love Gen 7. I think Gen 7 is brilliant. I do think the hand-holding's a bit much, but I do love the game still. So.
Yeah, no, Gen 7 is my third favorite generation, but like, and it's annoying. It's annoying that like there's just this roadblock that prevents Toby from enjoying it.
Literally, like I've tried to replay it a number of times, and I just can't. I just can't.
This goes back, doesn't it? Doesn't this go back to when I was talking about streaming? It's like, I know that you would love streaming, but this roadblock of something that's like in your way, like that can,
But I can't do anything about the.
You can't do anything about this one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's like the only like objective like. Yeah, I understand that. Well, for example, people not enjoying the art style of, let's say, Sword and Shield or whatever, but liking the art style of a different one, that's such a subjective thing. But they always feel like. Whenever a person has at least favorite or favorite generation, for them it always feels like objective. They always think that they're 100% correct.
Yeah. It's okay to have opinions, guys. It totally is.
Yeah, so that's why I actually do appreciate Toby being like, I appreciate everything else about Generation 7. I think it could be an amazing generation for me.
If they could, I'm totally game for them to go back and make a new gen, like Alola game, like any day of the week.
Can you imagine all those games on Switch and they just fix all the problems?
I would love to just go back to Alola, catch all those Pokemon, do the trials. Oh, it's all so fun. I just would if they could release an edit of the game with zero of the like a
challenge mode almost, and then just none of the BS.
But is what it is. Is what it is.
The difference is that I experience Pokemon, 90% of how I experience Pokemon has nothing to do with the gameplay. It's not playing the games. It's literally let's say listening to the music is 40% of my enjoyment of Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and Luke is probably one of the few other honestly just people in general that I know that Pokemon music is as important to them, other than actual the Pokemon musicians that I know.
Do you understand what happened to me when I heard the Mantine Surf theme? I almost lost my mind. That song almost killed me. I was like, I immediately DM'd Hyper Potions, please remix this. Please remix this. You guys would smash it. That would be amazing.
But Hyper Potions should definitely. I'm not going to ask you this again. You may want to tell it on the podcast, but you told us about how you basically met, how you gained your relationship with Hyper Potions and how that was.
Oh God, dude, I remember listening to the first song I ever listened to was Porta Vista, and it was I don't know the sound font they used or the I don't even know what to call it. I'm not a musician. What's it called? Like a VST, not a VST. That little synthesizer, whatever it is. Whatever they did in their drops, just hit a part of my brain that really just tickled. And I remember either following them on Twitter and, having chats with them here and there because they were really small and they were part of Monster Cat at the time. And I remember getting to a point where I was having conversations with them and telling them to sort of maybe go independent and make their own YouTube channel and stuff like that. And then that was around the same time that I sort of we got not necessarily close, but friendly, and I asked them to if I could commission music for them. And I actually don't even know if I commissioned music with them first and then talked to them afterwards, because obviously we would have been in talks at some point. It's I don't know, it's a long time ago, so I don't remember. But I'm so incredibly proud of them because they obviously have done music for Sega now. They're super under Sega's wing and making music for their games and their movies and stuff like that, which is so cool to see. Because I know where they came from and I've watched them grow. So it's nice because I've really thoroughly just enjoyed. They're they are my favorite musicians.
Really? Because that was one of my questions, so that answers that. So if you guys don't know, Gameboy Luke has a jingle basically. He's one of the only he's the only PokeTuber that I know that has his own theme basically, and it was created by Hyper Potions, this very successful.
I got so lucky because I didn't pay for that song. It's so funny. I didn't pay for that music to create a theme song out of it. I paid for their music because I wanted to give them money for their music. I wanted to support them.
Good.
Right? And then when they gave me the music, and then I listened to Big Snowman, and I had already hit up another artist to use my intro, and I had the video file somewhere. It's on my Facebook even. And I remember using it. I was happy with it. And then I listened to Big Snowman and I was like, oh, this is so good. I got to try this. And I just literally took the music out, swapped it, switched out with a drop. And I edited the intro to a completely different song. But Big Snowman just seemed to slot back in perfectly. And, ever since then. And I remember when I was doing playthroughs with my friend Patty Trills back in the day, he would always just, be an idiot as he is and just be like da, 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 da. And it just caught on. Everybody started humming it, and we ended up making notification sounds out of it for my stream and stuff. It's it resonates. People hear that sound and think of me, and it's I got so lucky because it was never meant to be that way. So
I was trying to get Toby to get his own theme. You never know.
Yeah, maybe in the rebrand in the new year, which I assume I'll do.
Definitely consult me. Show me the passes. Right. And
Yeah.
if
Bro,
that
hit
does
up.
happen.
I mean, listen,
I
I don't
will.
know. I mean, like High Potions have done songs for, like Scott the Woz and other people and stuff like that. Maybe you could ask them because they are very talented kids.
Yo,
They are so cool.
I think next year's gonna be probably a slow year with just like Scarlet Violet DLC. I think it's a good time to probably like rebrand to not be bland.
There's
to
something about
rebrand.
rebrand. It's like moving your office around, isn't it? It's like
It
you do
is.
all that and you're like, it's time for like, you know, it's like new year, new me kind of vibe.
It feels
So-
really like part of the spiritual ritual of running a channel is rebranding and sort of deciding like what bits am I keeping. I like approaching a rebrand, a good rebrand, like if I was starting Birdkeepertoby today with 0 subscribers, the only difference is I will have subscribers, and I am locked into the name Birdkeepertoby probably. How would that channel look? What would that mean? I like thinking about that.
I remember
every
you
year.
saying this to me before.
It's
I think
it's a
we should
healthy
have a sit
thought
down.
process.
When I come over sometime, we should
Yeah,
have
I'd be
a sit
so
down.
down. I'd be so down for that. In the new year, we'll do that. Or
The
maybe
question
end of
is,
this year.
so I'm assuming we can't use your theme song as the outro, right? It's copyrighted. It's
You
like
can use it.
really.
Yeah.
Oh, like we won't get struck or
And
anything.
it was initially, I'm pretty sure it was claimed because I didn't want people going around stealing it and using it. But I think since then, I don't think it is claimed anymore. It says in Higher Potion's description that it is, but I'm pretty sure it's not anymore. And I guess that's just to deter people. I don't really want people going around taking my song, putting it in as their intro, and then like, you know, because I did pay for that music, and I do want it to be, it's my identity now. But I'm pretty sure it's not copyright. So if you want to put the video, and if you did get claimed, I know exactly who to talk to in order to take that off, so you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I'm pretty sure it's not.
Toby, you want to try putting it? You want to try sending us off with Birdkeeper Toby?
It'll be playing right now, I assume. As
I
we
hope so.
Come to the end of the podcasting.
And if it's not, go check out Gameboy Luke's channel if you want to listen to that. Only specifically if you want to listen to that theme. That's it. That's the only reason you should go.
There's two different
he's got
versions.
good
Now we had a
content
remix for it as well. So
Oh,
there's two
okay.
versions. VIP baby.
Now that's even more of a reason to watch Gameboy Luke. So thank you very much, Luke.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute blast. I haven't been on a
Thank you.
podcast in ages, so it's
Been
been an
lovely.
absolute pleasure.
Pleasure
No,
is
you.
ours. Pleasure is ours.
And here's to a blossoming friendship.
Yes, sir. I mean, I think it already blossomed.
Possibly.
I think,
A
like,
budding
we already had some great
romance.
memories. Well, okay, easy. Easy there, buddy. Moving to mad.